The Man Whore Podcast is sponsored this week by Motor Bunny, the Ride on Top vibrator. Get $50 off a Motor Bunny starter kit at motorbunny.com by entering the code MANWHORE at checkout. Now let's start the show.
Welcome to the Man Whore Podcast.
Hey there, Cyber Sex Monday shoppers and Big Black Friday cock worshippers. This is Billy Procida, and you're listening to the Man Whore Podcast. What's going on, everyone? How you doing? Welcome to the show. If you are new to the program, this is a podcast where I usually talk to women I've hooked up with about sex, dating, sexuality, gender, love. However, this week's guest is not one of my former hookups. No, I have on a special guest, comedian Harrison Greenbaum. Also, we're going to feature a taste from a full-length bonus episode with comedian Hannah Abney, where we talk for an entire hour about masturbating. And I can't wait to share them with y'all in a bit. But first, no show dates, people. No upcoming stand-up comedy dates. However, if you want to keep yourself informed of any upcoming Man Whore Podcast news, head on over to manwhorepod.com. Sign up for my mailing list. That's how you get all the updates of my goings-on, my monthly newsletter, and all sorts of fun stuff. And you can get entered into like free sex toy giveaways. Oh, there is this announcement. If you are in New York City tonight, this isn't a comedy show, but tonight so the day, if you're listening to this on the day it comes out, Wednesday the 30th, this is my last day of my day job. I don't know if you remember, I announced I quit my day job, hey! And so I am celebrating by getting drunk tonight down in the Lower East Side, Greenwich Village area. As of today, Friday, I have not picked a bar, but I know it will be downtown. So if you want to come join me and have a drink and share a shot and wish me luck on this new venture, go to manwhorepod.com. I'll put a blog post up with the location, or you can go to the Man Whore Podcast Facebook page. Just search Man Whore Podcast, and you'll see the event, the Facebook event on there, and by then I will have announced the location. I'll probably get to the bar around 9 o'clock. Would love to see some fan whores surprise me tonight. So, but what's going on with me? Belated happy Thanksgiving to everybody. Hope your Thanksgivings with families and friends were fairly painless, hopefully lacking too much Trump talk. Unless you're Todd B, then it was probably just like a circle jerk celebration. Be like, yeah, women won't be able to control their bodies soon. So excited. But for the rest of my listeners, I hope you were able to avoid politics and be distracted by grown rapists giving each other concussions. And I'll try to keep this brief, but look, I am very thankful to all of you, the listeners, by the way. I gotta say, y'all make doing this show worthwhile. Whether you've been downloading the podcast for only a couple weeks or you've been here since the beginning for over 2 years. I am so happy that you're around and that I have you as an audience to vent to, that I have y'all as an outlet week in and week out. I think that's amazing. It's really cool that all sorts of different types of people, and I've seen pictures of a lot of you. Y'all look very different, but a whole fucking different mess of people come together around a common slutty cause. That cause being a unique interest in the happenings of my penis. And I'm very grateful for that. So I'm glad you're around. This also happened. Last week I was on a podcast called Multi-Amory. If you're one of those like Polly Pockets, or even if you're just like interested or curious in the ethically non-monogamous lifestyle, you should really check out my episode and that podcast overall. It's a good show. It's hosted by three gorgeous people, Jace, Dedeker, and Emily. They used to be a triad together, and they're all really hot and they have great hair. So I had to be on webcam, like Skype with them the whole time. So I felt very self-conscious. But I had a really good time. We discussed like group sex and what masculinity in a Trump America will look like. So really good time. Talked about Paige, of course. It was good. Definitely go check that out. It's Multi-Amory, Multi Amory. I know that's going to upset the linguists, but you know what? I feel like we've already abandoned proper word creation when they came up with polyamory. I know we're mixing Latin and Greek roots, but hey, what are you going to do? This also I got this email from, I don't know how many of y'all remember Polly Whitaker, aka Polly Superstar. I had her on the podcast about 2 years ago. She is the founder of an international sex party called Kinky Salon. It's in, I don't know, I think like a dozen cities around the world. And she sent me this email. It has to do with men and pleasure and masculinity and sexuality. And she's trying to promote a thing that a friend of hers is making. And I thought it was worth sharing with all of you lovely people. So Polly writes, "Hey, Billy, I hope you're doing fabulously. Imagine all of this just like in a British accent. I'm working on a new project. I'm actually super excited about it. A, because it's a really important conversation, and B, because the timing for it is so perfect. So there's this whole thing with Trump, rape culture, toxic masculinity, blah, 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 blah. And I've been thinking, where's the sexual revolution for men?" I didn't know we needed a revolution, but okay. There's this idea that men just get their needs taken care of, so their sexuality doesn't need an overhaul as women's have had since the 60s. But men are hooked on porn and Viagra. I mean, could they be more fucked up? Where are their good role models and their healthy sex lives? Raise his hand over here. Hey guys, moderately decent role model with a somewhat healthy sex life. Hi. Their self-awareness and their self-love, where is it? Women have been given so much cultural permission to explore their sexuality, but men are still stuck in the dark ages. I think that blaming toxic masculinity on men is as ridiculous as blaming sexual objectification on women. You're one of the men talking about sex openly, and in a way I think addresses this conversation, so that's why I wanted to reach out. There's this guy who created www.betterthanthehand.com. It's men talking intelligently about how self-pleasure can connect them to their bodies, making them less ashamed of their sexuality, make them better lovers, and make them happier. It's so simple. Could destigmatizing male masturbation be a key to unlocking the future of sex culture? You might know him already from his work on Cotango.com and his movie Marriage 2.0. His name's Andrew Sullivan. Anyway, he's asked me to help him get the word out about what he's doing, and so I'm reaching out to see if you might be interested in discussing this on your podcast. And here's why I think this is an interesting story. This election season has been nuts. This is also, by the way, written like just before the election. I know I'm reading this email kind of late. The conversation about toxic masculinity and rape culture have never been so in the spotlight. But the conversation focuses on blame instead of looking at the bigger picture. Trump is a direct product of our culture. He is a mirror. When we look in that mirror and don't like what we see, we just say, Trump is an asshole, men are pigs, and demonize male sexuality. But if we are all responsible as a culture to change this attitude so perfectly embodied by Trump, then what can we do? I would argue that encouraging men to connect to their sexuality, sensuality, and self-pleasure, instead of seeing sex as something external, something to be conquered or taken by force. I think this might shift that cultural dynamic. I'm not saying I found the magic bullet here, but I'm pretty excited about this conversation, as you can probably tell, because this has turned into a bit of a rant. Not only has it been a bit of a rant, I even edited out several parts of the email. So Bali Superstar, super passionate about this project. I know it sounds a little maybe hippie woo-woo, a bit, maybe a little crystal-y, but go check it out. It's an interesting idea. There's some interesting stuff on the site. It's betterthanthehand.com. And if you don't know which then it is, well, then we've got a bigger grammar problem, but it's THAN, thehand.com. People, I'm looking for artwork. I'm looking for logos. I want to feature your fan artwork on the podcast. I know podcast you can't feature on it because it's an audio medium, but I want to make it the image artwork for individual episodes so other people can see your work. I would love to share it. So please email me at manorpod@gmail.com if you have an idea for a new logo, or if you just have like something kind of slutty, kind of man-whore-ish that you would like to share. I'm open to interpretation. I would just like to see what y'all come up with. So again, shoot me an email, manwhorepod@gmail.com. Speaking of graphics, Christmas season is upon us. Cyber Monday has passed, but there are surely deals coming out. You're about to do all your shopping. And hey, who knows? Look, I'm only saying this because over the last 2 Christmases, I've been receiving some stuff from fans. It seems like there's an interest, and I'd like to make this a little bit more accessible. If you go to manwhorepod.com or any of my social media, my Twitter, my Reddit, subreddit, r/manwhorepodcast, my Facebook page at the Man Whore Podcast, you will see a graphic I made with my holiday wish list. If anybody wants to get me anything for the holidays, I have now made it pretty nice and easy and simple. The ideas range from anything. There's a bunch of free things you can do. All right. So if you have no cash, but you just want to do something nice for me, I've got a list of free things you can do. I've got some low budget stuff, some moderate stuff. I've got a list of the 2 charities you can donate to in my name. Okay. Those being the website Scarlet Teen and Planned Parenthood. Scarlet Teen, they do excellent work with sex education for teenagers and high school people, and Planned Parenthood because, well, Trump got elected. And there's even there's a few pricier high-end items that I do not expect to receive, but fuck it, you can't receive something you don't ask for. Am I right? So, hey, any 4 wheels will do. So again, manwhorepod.com or any of my social media, you'll see a cute little Christmas graphic. I made myself wearing an elf hat and pointy ears. Now, before we get to this week's guest, Harrison Greenbaum, I want to play a teaser from my bonus episode with comedian Hannah Abney. Hannah, I've known for a few years. She hosts a YouTube web series called Handsy with Hannah. And, well, it's all about getting down with your hand. Keeping in the theme of Polly Superstar's email about men and self-pleasure and masturbation. That entire email, by the way, it's partially about men, I don't know, embracing jerking off, I guess, in a hippie woo-woo sort of way. So Hannah's got this web series, Handsy with Hannah. I sat down with her a month ago. We did a full bonus episode for my $10 and up Patreon supporters. And I want to play y'all a little chunk of that. So in case you dig it and you want to hear more, you can go to patreon.com/manwhorepodcast, pledge on the $10 up level. To all my current patrons, an easy-to-use method, a convenient-to-use method to listen to the bonus episodes is coming to you in the next few weeks. I promise you will receive an email. I'm going to make it so that you can play the bonus episodes in any podcast player that you listen to the Man Whore Podcast. That is coming up, I promise. And then you can binge listen to all those bonus episodes in case you haven't already. But right now, let's listen to this nice chunk about Hannah Abney when she was young in her younger years, discovering masturbation with her sister.
Oh, I actually used to I've never done that with a guy. I feel like I might be a little nervous seeing a guy jerk off.
Really?
In person? Yeah, I don't know. It's just
You've never watched a guy jerk off?
Not in person.
Wow.
I just don't feel like it's not attractive to me to see you jerk off. I don't dig it. What's attractive to me is like me getting you off. But I used to masturbate with my girlfriends in high school.
Really?
Like,
you tell.
Yeah. Well, like, so, we would just, me and my sister had this weird thing. We had all these like weird little ways we would masturbate, but we didn't realize we were actually masturbating, or that was what to call it. Like we did butt thrust, we called it. Like we would like lay down on the bed on our stomach. We were like 14 and we would like just like thrust each other's booty, and it was like dry humping, but not
push the butts.
Yeah. So we're like literally rubbing each other's, like my cat actually, when she was like in heat before I got her spayed, she was like literally popping her pussy in my face, like fucking put it in. And I felt bad. And so I literally,
like, I'm not going to lick your pussy,
pussy. But I literally started trying to like butt thrust her, like push down on her like lower back to like rub up and down, to like help her out because I felt bad. But now I think about it, I'm like, I don't think she has a clitoris, so that might not have helped. But that's what we were doing for each other, like masturbating each other at our slumber parties. And then what we would do is it was like right when they were getting rid of like VHS and DVD and going to Blu-ray. So like everything was on sale. And so we would look up movies with Ewan McGregor because he's notorious for being naked. And we had a crush on him. And we would look up movies with him in it that he was naked in for sale, like really cheap, like Young Adam, all these like really random movies that nobody's ever really seen. and we would buy them, and we would literally just like, me and my best friend, I remember, like, I had got her a vibrator for her birthday. We're 16.
Oh,
like,
what
she
a
had,
nice friend.
right? I actually helped her put her first vibrator in.
Wait, what?
Yeah. So like, we both had the rabbit, and
Wait, what kind of friendship is this?
No, we were like
Just friends?
Yeah, like I think I sucked her tits. Like we would play with each other's tits, but it was never anything romantic. It was more just experimental.
Okay.
But like, yeah, but we So we were like, it was like a slumber party. I'm like, we're both masturbating with our vibrators. The remote's between us, and we've like got young Adam in with Ewan McGregor, and we like go to like the point where he's naked, and it's like just a flaccid penis, right? But we didn't realize really that we could get porn for free at this point.
Okay.
On the internet, so we're like trying to find it, and so literally like we would take turns rewinding for like that 30 seconds where you could see his dick, and we're just masturbating the whole time, like taking turns on who's got to rewind this VHS.
And that was never like weird for you two?
No.
As friends?
No, I actually like.
Was it only like one friend or like a group of friends y'all would do this?
It was like the one friend and a gay friend.
Okay.
But we would like, yeah, like I gifted her my my vibrator when I moved away. I like gave her my vibrator. I gave my gay friend like vibrating nipple clamps and like this butt plug and all this shit.
Okay.
Because I was like seeing someone when I moved to New York, and I was like, I don't need toys. And now I'm here and I don't have money to buy toys. And I'm like, what the fuck were you thinking?
Wait, tell me about you helped her put a vibrator inside her?
Yeah, her first one.
So could she not figure it out?
Well, no, it was hard to get in because it was tight. Like we were both virgins, but we started with dildos. And I remember we were like trying it as like, having a girls'
Because
night.
this sounds like the premise of a porno. It's like,
right?
Oh my God, you can't get your vibrator in. Please, other hot friend, let me help you.
She was really hot. She was Nika Rowland, huge tits. No, I was helping her get it in, and then it wasn't working. So I remember we just gave up. And I think we just decided we were watching Pocahontas, and then like I think we kept trying, and then it's like right when it's like just around the river bend, like the waterfall or something, like that's when it just like slid right in, and we're like, oh, great.
Now that is quite the story. And if you want to hear more from Hannah Abney in my bonus episode, again, go to patreon.com/manwhorepodcast. That's Patreon, patreon.com/manwhorepodcast. You can receive that episode at the $10 and up level. And do go check out her YouTube web series, Handsy with Hannah, and you can find all of her information at hannahabney.com, hannahabney.com. You'll see links in the show notes. And now for our scheduled guest this week, Harrison Greenbaum, very funny comedian. Any of y'all who are fans of the Guys We Fucked podcast, well, you might distinctly recognize his voice from there. Harrison's a very funny comedian. I've known him since I was in college, and he was a professional comic who I'd see around. And I just thought we'd have a chit chat. I heard him on another podcast. He's quite the feminist, and he was kind of sticking it to the two hosts who were kind of either pro-Trump or very like apathetic to the reality that is coming upon us. And I was like, "Yo, dude, you did a great job." And then it's like, we should talk. And then here we are. And we had a really fun time. We talked about sex parties. We compared and contrasted our experiences with that. We discussed male body image, Tinder, the Shrek films, feminism. Very fun conversation. I think you're all really going to like it. Sorry for the long intro, but not sorry at all. Let's have a listen to me and comedian Harrison Greenbaum.
Yes, absolutely.
I don't have to coach you.
Oh, yeah.
Because, well, normally...
No, it's funny. We do my podcast from here. So, literally, I have two friends. We have... he has the 6, so we plug in 3 mics. But it's literally basically...
You don't have
this
to
is what we
brag
do.
that you live in Midtown. You have an H6. I don't have an H5.
I have the H4. No, he has the H6 in Astoria. I need to get the H6, though. But, yeah, we do... Like, that's been our setup is literally this table, and we get a bunch of chairs, and then we usually play board games afterwards because we're nerds.
What games you play?
Smash Up is like our big... That's like our big thing.
I don't know Smash Up.
Oh, I mean, you're more than welcome to mention my apartment on the podcast.
Or the guy lives in this very swank 1-bedroom.
Nerdy board game.
And he has an entire thing in nerdy board. So, do you know Andy O'Feiss, right?
I do, yeah.
Okay, have you ever been to his place?
Are we recording right now?
Yeah, we're on.
Okay. We already started. Oh,
Yes.
boy.
Yes, got one of those.
Wow. All right.
No, Andy O'Feiss has an entire closet filled with like the originals, like first release of all the
like Life and Clue.
Yeah, because he's that old. But he has like an original Settlers of Catan. He's got
Whoa, first edition. Those are actually like probably very valuable.
Yeah, dude lives in a nice little cozy home in Cambridge.
Wow,
So,
I love Andy.
Yeah, he's a great guy. He's the first one. I think he's the first person to consistently put me on stage without needing to bring people. But I had to get naked.
Right.
Well,
I started comedy in Boston when I was an undergrad at Harvard. And I met Andy. We were good buddies. And he's like, oh, I do this naked comedy show. I was like, I don't know if I want to do it. And I was like, you know what? It's in Cambridge. It's not even in Cambridge. It's like outside of Cambridge. I think it's in Somerville.
Yeah.
I was like, you know what? I'm going to do it. So I do the show and I'm putting my clothes back on. And he hands me $20 and he goes, that's for your set. And I was like, oh my God, this is my first paid comedy set.
Yes.
And so there's like this little element of like, I feel a little bit like a whore. Like I'm putting my clothes back on. It's like, here's that 20. And I'm like, oh no. But that was my first paid set, was the naked comedy show in Boston.
Oh man. I didn't get paid for that show until like a few years ago. I did it like 10 times before I got paid.
I did it in Boston. And I did it when it was at the original Pit.
Right, me too. But the original
and I did
Pit,
improv one time. There was this girl I had like a crush on, and she's like, I'll do naked improv with you. And I was like, how do you say no to that?
Now, did you make it sexual, or did you try to
I tried to avoid everything
improv?
I could to make it not sexual. Like she would start to like touch me on the shoulder and I'd be like, hey, what are you doing, mom? Like anything I could to make it not weird. She kept trying to like, I was also like, there's going to be no touching in this improv thing because we're both naked and this is weird. So I was like, that's not. So I kept trying to basically put like a sort of distance, and I was doing it through scene work. And she kept trying to like get in there. I was like, no. Just let's make this very innocent acquaintance improv.
I'm a big fan of the naked show. I think that was when I first started to get. I hadn't done group sex by then, but that's where I think I first got comfortable being naked.
Oh, so you're like, I'm going to be naked.
Like,
other people are going to see me.
Yeah, and
you did it at the Creek.
No, I first started doing it at the old Pit.
Oh, so you're part of the original crew.
Yeah, I've done it, I think, like 13, 14 times now.
Oh, that's amazing. All right.
Yeah, I started doing it in college when I was like 20.
Yeah.
And I couldn't get up anywhere until I took my clothes off.
Right. Yeah. Well, that was the thing. That was one of the longest sets I'd ever gotten at that time, and I was paid for it. And this was like, all I did in my mind was like, all I have to do is take off my clothes and I get 20 minutes of stage time.
All I have to do for this car is suck
in.
a dick. All I have to do has made people do so many interesting things.
Yeah. There was actually, I'm not going to blow up his spot, but there was a comedy writer who I'm a gigantic fan of. He's done a lot of stuff for TV. And he had seen me perform a couple of times. And I got in touch with him and I was like, oh, I've seen you at my shows. And he's like, I'm a fan of your work. And I was like, this is nuts. Because I had just been in it for a little while.
Yeah.
It's the first time I ever got a letter that positive, and it's from this guy that I like greatly respect. And then I go out on stage at the Pit at the Naked Show, and he's like in the like second row. And so we had planned to have coffee. So it changes the tenor of coffee a little bit when they've seen you like. And he was with his wife. This wasn't like a sexual thing at all, but like it was just funny to be like, so I know a lot about you. Not only do I know about you,
I know how,
but I know everything about you.
I know your measurements.
Yeah, exactly.
My second time doing the Naked Show, I invited the chick who took my virginity.
Oh my God.
Because she happened to, I was at NYU.
Well, so she already knew what it looked like.
Yeah. She remembers how odd I look naked. And she was at Fordham, so I was like, hey, you should come see me do comedy. I'm doing this Naked Show. She brought friends.
Oh, boy.
Didn't realize it was actually a naked show.
Oh, she thought it was just like a funny name.
Yeah.
Oh, that's hilarious.
And I think when she saw Andy, I guess she must have thought, well, maybe the host is naked.
Right.
And then I was bullet spot. So
oh, Jesus.
I get off stage. So I'm the first non-Andy person she sees. And I get back off stage. I see on my phone, it's like, I didn't think he'd actually be naked was a text I got.
Nice.
I was like, oops, okay.
Yeah, the Naked Show was fun. There's been there's always great stories that come out of that thing. But there was this one guy who was trying to get erect for a sketch. He like wanted to be erect when he walked out. So like you heard him in the bathroom like trying. And he couldn't. It was like too much pressure. So he did the sketch without it. But it was like this funny thing of like I have to pee, but is he still in the bathroom? What's he doing? I'm like, oh, it's a sketch. And I'm like,
it's a thing.
All right.
Or he says it's a thing. We don't know. We've never seen the sketch, but allegedly.
Exactly. So he was unable to do that. And then the other guy was doing like he pulled a plastic bag out of his ass. There was this guy. He used to close a lot of them. And he had some gag about like, where do I put this thing? Like he had something else in his hands. Like, where do I put it? And then he pulled a bag out of his ass. I remember doing a magic trick on the Naked Show. I was like, I want to do, wouldn't it be cool to do a magic trick because there's nowhere for me to hide anything. So I needed to borrow somebody's dollar bill because I was going to do a trick where I turned the dollar into like 100.
Yeah.
which would be amazing because clearly I don't have 100 on me. I am naked.
Yeah.
So I trying to borrow $1, and I realized nobody wants me to get close enough to borrow the dollar because I'm naked.
They don't want you to actually dangle into their face.
Right. And as soon as I realized, I was like, oh, they're 100% correct.
Yeah.
But I haven't thought this through. So fortunately, there was somebody I knew. I think he had done the comedy show before. So he kind of like walked forward and put his hand real far out, and I grabbed the bill and did the trick. But it was like one of those things of, oh, right, I should think this one through. I'm not wearing clothing.
Chesley, you remember Chesley Calloway, right?
Yeah, of course.
He would do push-ups backstage right before he went on.
I think a lot of people did that. I think I did that too.
But he was like already a fit guy. Like he already looked good.
You had to do
and then
it.
he would just like do it even more.
Oh, I absolutely did push-ups before I went out. Are you kidding me?
No, the most I would do like slight tugs just so I could. I just want my best hang.
Absolutely.
You know?
And I'm more of a grower than a shower.
Right.
So like, definitely a couple of tugs. Absolutely.
How do you feel? Wait, I forget if I have even said it or not, but I'm here with very funny comedian Harrison
Nobody knows who I am right now.
Very funny guy, and want to chit chat with you. It's how do you feel about your body? Are we happy with it?
No, never. I was a very chubby fat kid growing up.
Same.
So that always creates body issues, I think, forever, because you see yourself as that fat kid.
Yeah.
My sister also was kind of chubby, and neither one of us are now. But I always am worried about, I went vegan for 5 months. I think that was like the best shape I was ever in. I'm constantly like, oh, I feel fat. And I'm constantly, whoever I'm with at the time, whatever girl. And obviously if I'm with them, they accept my body. Like that's part of the deal. But I'm always like, I feel so fat. I feel so fat. And part of it is, honestly, I think I say that just because I want them to say, no, you're not. Because in my head, I'm like, I need that reassurance.
See, I want them to go, well, I want them to think at least he knows. That's more like I just assume they think it too, and I want them to know that I'm on board. Like that's why I'll say it a lot.
That you feel fat.
Yeah, so when I'm going like, oh, I feel gross, I'm fat, I've gained weight, I want them, like, I had to force my girlfriend to admit I have boobs. Or that I've at least gotten them since we started dating.
And you're currently in a relationship.
Yeah, I've got one of those girlfriend people.
Nice.
It's very nice. I'm very happy about it.
Congrats.
Case she's hearing.
This is like the new world where like I've known you for a long time.
You've known me since I was 19 or 20 years old. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. You come in with that. What was that book? It was like the thickest book ever, and you were.
Oh yes, I remember. I was assigned. I had to read Lysistrata for a class, and it was in a big Aristophanes collection.
Yeah, you would drag that thing into the comedy club, and it was like, wow, this guy is really working hard. This is amazing.
You working on a bit? No, just homework. That's
But in 2016, it's like somebody who like I have to find out about people's information through a podcast, like by doing a podcast.
Right.
Well, congratulations. That's great.
Thank you. Yeah.
That's
Since
great to
then,
hear.
also started going to orgies and all that weird shit.
Well, that I know because like a podcast like that comes up.
Yeah. But yeah, that's like 9 months, 10 months now, like February.
That's great.
So I'm pretty happy with it. Yeah. That was why I started the show. So.
Did she come with you?
Come with me to what?
To the parties.
I mean, I met her at a sex party.
Oh,
so,
well,
I
that's
mean,
fantastic.
That was apparently that's where I needed to go find love was in a basement.
I've heard that
Brooklyn.
multiple times. I know more you're not the only person I know who has met somebody at a sex party.
Oh, wonderful. Okay.
Yeah.
I feel less weird now.
Yeah.
Because most of those people that I know who meet people like that, they're also super into like the poly world or the kink world.
Right.
And I'm not.
Oh, okay.
I'm not poly. I'm not a kinky person.
I hope you get married just so you have to explain this to your grandchildren.
Oh, yeah. It's the best meet cute ever. It's wonderful.
Or just give a speech at a wedding.
Yeah.
I saw her with 4 other dudes and I knew that's the one.
Well, I heard her first and she was just singing Christmas carols while getting spanked in a sex swing.
She was singing Christmas carols?
Her friend was doing a DS scene with her and was spanking her, and she just decided, I'm going to make it. It was the Triple Xmas theme party.
Okay, I got you. It was within theme.
So she was making her sing Christmas carols, and I was fucking my friend in the other room, but we could hear them because it was so loud.
Are you Jewish?
No.
Oh, okay. I was going to say, because if that was me, like if I was you and then I'm trying to explain this to my parents, they'd be less upset about the sex party part and more upset that she's not Jewish and singing Christmas carols by default.
Although
that would be the problem that they have with that story.
What a creative like Dom sub scene is like making the Jews sing Christmas carols as punishment.
Yeah, there you go. Absolutely.
Are you like kinky?
And it'll be punishment probably to everybody else to listen to me butcher those songs.
Right? Are you kinky at all in your private life?
I think so. I don't know. It changes. Like it depends on who I'm with. Like if that person's not that kinky, I feel like I acclimate to their level.
You're a pleaser and you'll do whatever's needed. for the person.
Yeah, I've definitely explored for sure, though. Absolutely.
Yeah, my girlfriend's super subby, and I'm not dominant person at all, but I can do it like for her, with her.
I break character. That's my problem. Is when I'm trying to be dominant.
Yeah.
I'm always like I care about people.
Right.
So I'll be like, yeah, you fucking take it. You take it, you bitch. Are you okay? Everything good? You take it. Like you can't do that. You can't break character in the middle.
The 2 nights ago, I was at a party and I was with someone and I was going really hard and she's going, it hurts. I'm like, oh, I'm sorry. She's like, no, keep going. It hurts in the good way. I'm like, oh, I don't fucking know.
Right. No, but your job, like, especially, consent is super important and all that stuff. If somebody seems like they're in pain, like, unless you're doing a situation where there's a safe word. So, like, if she's not saying the safe word, then you can continue. But, like, in that kind of situation, there's a nice thing to do is make sure she's okay if she's saying ow.
Yeah, but for some people, the sweetness is a turnoff.
Right, I know.
And I'm just like, what?
That's the problem.
Like, and then, so, maybe nice guys do finish last. If not only do y'all fuck the assholes, but then you tell us you don't want the sweet guy in the bedroom.
Right.
It's so rough. I don't know. It gets weird. You've never gone to like a group scenario?
I did.
Oh, you did?
Yeah.
Okay. Wait.
With I've talked about this before, but Corinne.
You're the one
Corinne
you went,
Fisher,
you went
dated,
to with Corinne. I knew you two dated. I didn't know you were She had mentioned she'd been to a party, didn't have the best experience. And like just because the atmosphere.
Yeah, we went to 2. We went one on Friday, one on Saturday, just to see if they were different. We went to 2 different swingers clubs. One is next door.
Okay,
that's how the whole thing came up. Is so like you're my apartment, but like literally next door. That's a school. You're looking at a school, but that's a whole other thing.
Right.
But
different party.
Yeah. Oh God. Oh Jesus. But no, if you walk out my apartment, basically to the left, there's a drag bar.
Is that Lips?
Which is Lips.
Okay.
And it's a beautiful, really cool place. But right before that, there's this like unmarked building, and the basement is a swingers club. So I had mentioned that to Corinne. I'm like, there's a swingers club like literally next door to my apartment building, and she was like, "We gotta go." We played a game of chicken. We're both like, "We have to go." And so, well, if you go, I'm going. Like that kind of thing.
Yeah.
And then we're like, "All right, let's do it this week. All right, let's go." And then we also didn't want to just go to one and not really know if it was bad or good.
You wanted to compare?
Well, because we didn't want to go and be like, "Oh, this is bad," and then it was because it was a bad one.
Right.
So we went to 2 so that we could at least compare and be like, oh, like this is what the level is.
Right.
Because we had no expertise.
What were the names, if you don't mind saying, or you don't have to?
One was Bowery Bliss and one was Checkmate.
Bliss. Bowery Bliss, they do a lot of parties at, and I've never heard Checkmate, but okay.
Checkmate is definitely classier.
The classier
Definitely
one.
the classier one.
That's why I haven't heard of it. I got holes in my shoes.
But it was like very interesting, we only had sex with each other, so it wasn't like we participated in like a sort of group sex thing. But it was the first time I had seen other people have sex live. Yeah. That was very interesting.
Yeah? What was that like for you?
It was interesting. Like
what's going through your head when you finally...
There was some giggling. I mean, I think my favorite moment, and I think it's probably... I'm not sure if it was Corinne's favorite moment, but I think it probably was just that... I had to get something on the other side of the room, and in between what I needed to get and where I was like
pile of bodies
and things happening. So I'm literally doing this. Excuse me, I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. You can keep doing it. I just gotta get. I'm so sorry. Just give me like, okay, I'm coming through. Beep beep. All right, thank you. All right, got it. Then I'm like coming back where it's like, okay, coming back. Don't worry. Keep going. Don't mind me.
All the while you have to avoid anything that's swinging possibly to your face.
Well, I was standing and they were like on the ground, so that at least wasn't a worry. But I was just like, all right, excuse me, sorry, excuse me, coming. It was like it was like a sitcom that can never air on network television. That's basically what happened.
I love it. Well, so these were like swinger clubs.
Yeah.
Which like I feel like from what
it's not like a full-on sex party, right? Because I guess the difference is a sex party is like they're singles and it's just sort of more orgy-ish, whereas a swingers club is more like couples and swapping.
From the
a little bit.
I haven't gone because I can't afford it. The clubs, but I've gone to more like house parties, and they're all the parties I go to have been like private. Even if they had a ticket, they were like in like a house in a private place and.
Were like single guys allowed?
Yeah, I mean, the one that I go to are very like queer friendly, very like fluidy type stuff. Like I'm the weirdo because I'm all of this bag of privilege. Like I'm the weirdo for being there.
And they're young. What's the age range?
I'd say like 20 to 45.
Oh, it's great.
Yeah, it's all like mostly people in their late 20s to like early 40s, and then there's some old.
Because that second one, the one that the classier one, definitely skewed older. And like the weird thing about that is you're watching all these people and you're like, their kids are with a babysitter right now. Like you just picture like they have like Their kids are like, "Oh, mom, and dad are going on a date. Quick date."
Or when it's more uncomfortable, it's like, ooh, their kids like I could have gone to school with.
No, they weren't that
well,
old.
maybe not.
Oh God, no,
I mean,
they weren't that old.
What are you, like mid-30s now, right?
I'm 30. Yeah,
You're 30?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Just turned 30.
I guess knowing you for as long as I have, I've always assumed all of you are older than you are.
Well, I also hung out with an older group.
Right.
Like as soon as I graduated from college, I was 21. And I was hanging out with comics who were in their 30s.
Yeah.
And I think people lump me into that group. So like, there was a long time where people like, how old are you? And they expect me to say like 36. And I'd be like, 25. And they'd be like, what?
Well, when you're 20, you just assume everyone's like older than you. So it's like,
Absolutely.
I guess in my mind, I've tried to, like, I don't know how old anyone I started around are, because to me, they were all old people.
Right. And now I'm just at the age now where it used to be, when you look at where you are in your career, you could look at other people and go, well, they're 35. I have like 10 years to get there.
Yeah.
And now there are people who are younger than me. And I'm like, God damn
it.
So it changes the whole scale. You're like, at least they're older than me. I have years to get to there and get whatever.
Then you get to the age and like, fuck.
Like, oh, no, I still don't have that.
What
thing.
happened with all that time that I had behind me?
Unbelievable.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But the difference between the clubs and the parties, I think, like mine's very like gender neutral. Like everyone pays the same price.
That's great.
And that's why I love the parties that I go to, because not just because it's cheaper for me, because there's no sense of like entitlement.
Right.
Like if a single guy pays $200 or $400 to go to a sex club, he feels like I deserve some sex tonight.
I disagree slightly in this. I think the reason they're charging more is because if they didn't, it would be like 95%
right.
dudes.
No, that's part of it, but I think one of the outcomes of that can be that there's a sense of entitlement of like, well, I should have sex tonight. I should get to have sex
because
tonight.
I paid all this.
I paid all
That's
this
fair.
money. Like
Yeah.
I should be.
And
able
that's a
to
very
fuck.
dangerous thing to do.
Right.
Yeah.
Also, like my party, I don't know what the like if what check-in was like for you guys, but when I check in at my parties, there's like a consent talk. There's like a hey, this is we're consent heavy. We do enthusiastic consent. Don't touch people without asking. Blah blah blah.
Oh yeah. No, I think that's
I get
in
a bracelet like this that says I consent to touch.
That's great. No, I think that's really important. I mean, I think that's the key here. Is like consent is key.
Yeah.
Usually, it's female-led consent. In any experience I have, it's always like the girls lead. So like girls have to ask, like you can't have guys asking for stuff. It's girls leading.
Yeah.
Because these are mostly straight parties. So
yeah. They're all like pretty like heteronormative.
Yeah, they're
type
heteronormative.
stuff.
So it's like, but they want the girls to lead. And I think that's really important too.
Right.
Because every guy is kind of like, yeah, I'll take 7 of you. Like, it's like, you always get that kind of vibe. And I think letting it be female-led consent it diminishes that to a degree, which is good.
So walking into your first like sex club, what was like your thought? What's like going through your head?
Well, it was basically just a dare between Corinne and I. So I was thankfully with somebody who I really like, and I still love her. She's one of my best friends.
Okay.
So like, it was just this thing where we kind of looked at each other and giggled. We're like, this is. It was like the best way to describe it is like if you go to an African safari and you're seeing all these animals you've never seen before. It was like that. We were just like, oh, this is completely outside of my realm of experience.
Right. Did you have any issues like with performing? Did you feel nervous?
No. I mean, I was with somebody really comfortable, and we didn't really do much group stuff when it came to that.
Right. I just mean like even getting like the first party I went to, I couldn't fuck. I was having trouble getting hard in that group environment. I was comfortable.
I see, yeah.
I was able to do some stuff, but I wasn't able, I didn't come at my first sex party.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
No, I didn't have any problems like that. But again, it was also because I was with somebody who I really liked.
Yeah.
We're very, I was very comfortable. She made me very comfortable.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
So that's important. I think that's the key, is having somebody that you're like, all right, and also we're at the exact same level of experience in terms of this. So there's no sort of deficit in terms of like one person is better at this or one person knows more. That we're all sort of same playing field.
I guess like in my mind when I think of the sex like clubs, like these like for-profit places, I assume like kind of seedy and like gross buffet, and I'm probably wrong because I've never been.
They had a great buffet because they used the Great Bagel Place. This is how Jew I am. It's like there was very little sex, but a great bagel. They got a great spread. They got rainbow cookies. I was very happy.
Okay.
Yeah, they catered in from one of my favorite bagel places. So as soon as I saw that, I was like, all right.
So a delivery guy would be like, hey man, what's going on?
I think they had I remember seeing the logo somewhere on the table. I was like, all right, good work. They know their bagels.
Oh man, I don't like to eat much at a party because I just think of like all these people can be like very health conscious and like washing hands and sanitary when it comes to like putting things in bodies. Like I remember I was hooking up with someone once and I went to go finger her, but she was like, have you washed your hands since the last woman? And
That's great. That's smart. Yeah.
it's smart. I honestly
Obligatory.
I honestly didn't know the answer. So I said, oh shit, I'm not sure. And then I was like, oh, let's just skip that. And I just like ate her pussy instead. And I just didn't use fingers.
Jesus.
But
But did you wash your face since the last one?
right. But like, so they'll be super sanitary about that, but like, they'll just go into food fucking willy nilly and like, excuse all of you gross pigs.
Right. I don't think you're supposed to eat at those buffets. I don't
Yeah.
think that's at all a good idea.
I try not to trust the food, except for
Yeah.
on Saturday they had these little like chocolate fudge balls that like I couldn't resist. So I was like, well, if they did make those, I will eat the chocolate on my way out. I eat all my food. My gross body is because of this, because I eat like 1,000 calories between 9 p.m. and 1 a.m.
I know. All my it's a comedian thing. You also you get off stage and now you're very awake and you're hungry because you've used up all this energy. And yeah, so you end up eating, and there's nothing open after 10 or 11 p.m.
Except for like Rite Aid,
like
which is
pizza
24 hours.
and snacks. So you end up eating just shit every night. And yeah, of course.
Yeah.
It's that classic comedy body where it looks skinny up top, and then there's like that belly.
It's just all right here. It's
all
a
in the
belt.
belly.
It's all a belt, and I
Yep.
hate. But like, you think I have to try to be able to resist just in that small time frame at night, and I'd be fine. But at a party, you think, okay, well, I'm not even thinking about food. But no, I ate at least like 1,000 calories of these like fudge balls right before I walked out the door. I'm like, I'm done with the night. I'm good. I could go to sleep, and the night's great. But I need to sabotage myself by stuffing my fucking face.
That's why I try very hard to avoid having any kind of snacks in my apartment, because I'm just going to eat them.
Yeah.
So sometimes I purposely and I'll literally go up from my couch to my pantry, from the couch to the pantry, even though I know there's no food, but
Right.
there's that weird like dance that you do
Just
where
te-
you're like,
just
maybe
test it.
I missed a snack.
And then you find like a candy bar from fucking 2002 in the back
Exactly.
corner,
And you're like, I'm going to eat that.
We can do this. It's this, or we go
But
downstairs.
at least there's the exercise of couch to pantry,
Yeah.
couch to pantry.
Yeah, those
That
are some
burns
steps.
calories.
Those are some steps.
That'll do it.
Hey, everybody. I just want to take a moment to tell you about a company called Motor Bunny. Motor Bunny offers affordable options for couples and individuals to explore sexually creative experiences. Beyond their famous ride-on-top vibrator product, they develop accessories and attachments that encourage endless experimentation. Motor Bunny provides cost-effective ways for people to bridge the gap between his, hers, and ours. And their mission is to lead the industry with support that cuddles after. If you've ever been curious about the ride-on-top experience and have been waiting for products like the Sibian to become more affordable, you can finally try it out without having to spend a whole lot. Find out more at MotorBunny.com and get $50 off a Motor Bunny starter kit when you enter the code MANWHORE at checkout. Motor Bunny costs about $450 less than the most popular competitive product. So what do you receive in a Motor Bunny starter kit? Okay, well, obviously, you're going to get the Motor Bunny. That's the big black vibrating thing where all the fun stuff comes from. You also get a bunny rest. Bunny rest is a classy piece of furniture that can be leaned on while the rider finds just the right position. You also receive 4 stainless steel eyelets, 3 certified safe TPE attachments, and 1 size-enhancing slip-on cover. Those are the things you put on the Motor Bunny that you can grind up against or put inside yourself. You also get 2 attachment risers for increased clitoral contact. I don't have a clitoris, but man, that sounds awesome. You also, if that's not enough, you get 2 stiff and 2 springy stiffening support rods. You also receive an AC power supply and a universal wall adapter so you can enjoy the Motor Bunny no matter which country you're in. Unless that country doesn't really have electricity, then that might be a problem. And for all that, the Motor Bunny comes with a 1-year warranty and a 45-day satisfaction guarantee. Holy shit, that is a lot of stuff. What a fucking deal, right? And Motor Bunny is offering listeners of the Man Whore podcast an amazing deal. Get $50 off a Motor Bunny starter kit by going to MotorBunny.com and using the code MANWHORE at checkout. Again, that's MotorBunny.com and use the code MANWHORE at checkout. Now let's get back to the show. So what's your dating life? I know you're dating someone now, but like typically what was your dating style before this scenario?
The problem is, no, the issue is that like so the sort of thing that I used to say was every time I was with somebody, I felt like I was cheating on comedy.
Okay.
So that really was definitely the first 5 years for sure. And then even past that, it was very hard to strike a balance between having a relationship and having a career. Because I felt like the career always came first, and that is a disaster for a relationship.
Yeah.
Because if every time you're supposed to go on a date, if you have the option to do a spot, you cancel the date to do the spot, eventually that girl's going to be like, well, screw you. Like, I'll find a guy who wants to make me the number one priority.
Right.
And I can't blame them for that. So in the last like 2 years, I've been actively trying to be a little bit better about that, because I think being a fully formed human involves having relationships with other people like that. So I'm working towards it. I've never really had a long-term relationship. Like 2 or 3 months is like the longest I've ever gone.
Okay.
So I'm trying to break that record.
Well, the one thing, again, so when it happened to be perfect timing when I texted you about the other show you were on, you were like, oh, I'd like to do your show. I was like, oh, fuck yeah. Because I just had a cancellation. I was like, you've been on a list because I've been on, I don't want to say alarming and make it sound bad, but I've been on like multiple Tinder dates.
Oh boy.
Where it's like, do you know Harrison Greenbaum? I dated Harrison Greenbaum, or like I fucked Harrison. So I've been on.
Did they say it proudly at least?
Most of them were good. I think there was like
Okay.
one. There was one that like negative, but I also felt negatively about her. Like I didn't end up going out with her. I met her at a speed dating event, and then I was like, I was interested up until she started talking more, and but she had also mentioned she had dated.
That's
so
amazing.
I've gone on many Tinder dates where like you were they had also gone
Jesus.
on with you.
I mean, obviously we don't want to like dox them, but I definitely want to know the name. Do you have the names written down?
I can't remember the names.
Oh, okay.
I can't remember the one speed dating girl's name. These were all like years ago. It was like enough that I have made a mental note of it.
That's
like
hilarious.
more so than anyone else.
I mean, I wonder what it is. I definitely date a lot. Like because that was the whole thing. Was like, well, the way you find a relationship is you go on dates. And I think I used to blame it on the fact that I process information very quickly.
Yeah.
Like my brain is very fast, I'd like to think, and it helps me on stage, obviously.
Of course.
But like sometimes I sit down and I kind of know right away whether it's right or wrong. And I don't think that's how most people do it. They go on a couple of dates before they figure it out.
And they waste a lot of time, even when they know and they feel a hint, but they don't want to pull the trigger on.
Yes.
Like, I know this isn't good.
People will stay in bad relationships for way too long.
No, this is going to work out in year 5.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
If it's not working out in year 1, it's not going to work out in year 10.
Yeah, they start acting like a bad GM, a sports team. No, Fitzpatrick, he's going to work out.
Yeah. And I always wonder how these girls define dating, right? Like, did they go on 3 dates with me and then they said I dated Harrison, or did they meet me one time?
Some of them will be they dated, and some will go like they went on a date with or they slept with or something like that.
Right,
Yeah.
I gotcha.
Yeah.
And also we roll in like the same community too. Like
Yeah.
we're performing at the same clubs and we have similar friends, so like it's kind of bound to happen.
Yeah, but none of them were comics.
Oh, that's
and that's
interesting.
why that's why it's interesting.
But it's also
I
funny
never
too
slept with
because like
Corinne. Like,
I think it's one of those but I think it's one of those things too where like you say oh I'm a comedian and then they think of their first comedian. So like but yeah, that's fascinating. Mm-hmm. I wonder if we just have very similar Tinder profiles in the sense that we both have beards, like similar body types to a degree. Like, so maybe they're just like, they have a type. So it makes sense that they went from you to me or me to you.
Funny guys, but I'm just like, you're going down in like talent level. You're supposed to go up and get to more successful guys.
We both have things to offer. You have a very successful podcast.
Stop it. But I always thought that was super interesting. Have you ever been speed dating?
I did one speed dating event when I was in college.
And
I think I actually did hook up with somebody based on that speed dating thing, but that was literally forever ago. That was probably 2007.
Because that's like at the peak of like processing super right away.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Absolutely. But this was speed dating in college, pre anything. I mean, this is pre Tinder, pre everything. This is 2007. So like, if you used OkCupid, I don't think OkCupid existed, but I think Match.com existed. And if you used that while you were in college, you were a total weirdo.
Yeah.
It was just no college
and
kid
now it's like
it.
commonplace. Every college kid
has Tinder at least.
Has Tinder, and a lot of them have like OkCupid. I'm like, you're in fucking college. Like this is your
need
Tinder.
it. Yeah, you don't need it.
Knock on a door. When they open, leave or walk in. That's your Tinder swipe.
But how amazing would college have been with Tinder, where like you're sitting in your dorm and you basically swipe through your entire dorm.
Yeah.
But it's kind of sad because like if you have to live in the same dorm for 3 years, you swipe through your whole dorm within 3 days.
Yeah.
Maximum. And so now you already know, like you have 3 or 4 years
no
to
more
live
sense
with
of,
a group of this building where you're like, oh, I guess we know who is into me and not.
Yeah. Also, then you know, like, oh,
Very
I'm in
efficient.
the ugly building.
Right.
And just go bang each other.
Yeah, because I feel like you met people, you go to like parties. Like we would go to these parties and Harvard let you have parties in the dorms, which is awesome. So you really didn't have to go that far. You would party in somebody's, dorm room and you'd meet somebody there and, that was kind of cool.
Yeah. When you process the information quickly on a day and you're making your decision on if you want to proceed or not, how soon, when you're realizing like this is not someone you're going to want to like date long term, or you don't even really think you want to sleep with them or whatever, how far into the date do you go before you cut off and be like, okay, hey, you seem fine and all, but like I'm not feeling it and I'm just going to go, so that you can like save your evening?
Yeah.
Do you complete the
two
date?
things. One is that I think I'm realizing that might be a sort of myth I invented for myself for why I don't have long-term relationships.
Okay.
Because you do have to give somebody a chance. Because the first date is people are still getting to know each other. People are very uncomfortable. Like who you are on your first date is not who you are on your fifth date. So you might have to give them till the fifth date in order to find out who they really are.
Yeah.
And the reverse could happen too. You could love somebody on a first date, and then by the fifth date when they're comfortable, you're like, oh, that person, I don't like this new person, which is clearly the person that you are.
You see their DVD collection, you're like, their taste is terrible.
Yeah,
Oh,
you're like,
man.
that's weird. That's all the Shreks? Why do you have all the Shreks?
You even have the weird spin-off. It was VOD.
You have the 3D one that they put in the Universal theme park? That's a weird. There was a girl, I literally went to an apartment. She only owned 4 DVDs, and it was just all the Shreks. And I was like, this was in college, so you could still judge people by their DVD collection.
You hope that's an aunt's present, like an aunt gave it.
Yeah,
you
you're
know,
like,
just
why
for
do you have
Christmas.
all the Shreks, and why nothing else? You didn't think maybe I should round this out with an Anchorman?
Throw in a few things here and there.
Put
A
something
notebook,
in there.
whatever.
Yeah, put a notebook
Yeah.
in there. It was super weird.
Well, you're gonna watch Shrek 2 for the 5th time
Oh my God.
with the same date. Oh,
yeah.
God.
Oh, let's watch Shrek 3. No. Nobody wants to rewatch that.
No, not at all. Well, so you'll give multiple dates to someone even if you're not sure right away.
It's very hard for me to. I try to always be the nice guy. Like I really, really go. I try, and sometimes obviously I fail sometimes, but I try so hard to like be an upstanding guy and like do the right thing.
Mm-hmm.
So even if I'm not interested, I always feel like I want to show them a good time anyway.
Yeah.
And so yeah, that can get you in trouble because you're like, now they're like, whoa, he's really into me, and I'm like, I'm just trying to be nice. I'm always trying to do the right thing, and sometimes I fuck up and I don't. But like, I'm always going into it trying to do the right thing.
I was recently thinking, I think a couple months ago I went on like a Tinder date, and I immediately realized, okay, I don't even think I'm really attracted to her, and I'm trying to talk, say, oh well, let's see if there's a personality thing that's gonna get me on board, and nothing's clicking there. I think it's been like 45 minutes or an hour, and like there's not one thing where I feel like we're bouncing off each other. And so instead of just like staying for 3 hours, like I think I normally would have, and I would have like basically lost my evening, was I just looked at my watch. I said, hey, so like I got to get going in about like a half hour.
That's smart.
And, I'll either finish my drink or maybe I'll have one more if I want. But I just say, hey, I got about a half hour left. And then I'm like, we start blank. It's no longer a date in my head. I'm like, oh, this is a person at a bar I'm going to get to know. And like, oh, let's see if this is an interesting person.
Alcohol that you mentioned, that's always, I think, I'm trying to drink a lot less. Not that I never feel like I had a problem. I think most people, if you ask me, it's rare that they even see me drinking. Right. But even with that low level of alcohol, I'm still trying to reduce it even more. Because I do think when you go on a date with somebody and you start drinking, you like them a lot more as you get drunker. Just like, and then the same thing for them. And like, it skews your reading.
Also, the amount of alcohol you order sometimes can falsely give an impression to them in the sense of they can think you're interested. So like if I know I want to bail at some point, the bartender comes in, do you want a drink? If I go no, or if they go no, I'm good. I think like I'm in Schitt's Creek. Like, I don't think I got a chance here.
I don't think they know I'm good. It's when they go, oh, we'll take the check. That's how you know.
Okay.
It's gone horribly wrong.
Yeah. You're not even getting a warning of that. She's not saying,
right,
hey, this is great, but I'm not interested. It's more like, just check, please.
Yeah.
Okay, let's take a brief break and do that impersonal Patreon thank you roll call. Yes, okay. This is the part of the show where I like to thank everyone who supports the Man Whore podcast and all the sex positive work that I'm doing on Patreon. Hey, Billy? Yeah, question. What's a Patreon? Oh, that is just a fantastical question, person who does not exist. Great job. Patreon is kind of like a monthly fan club subscription where you pledge certain dollar amounts and you receive certain rewards each month. And every week I like to thank those people during the impersonal Patreon thank you roll call. Yes, so right now, big shout outs to Jennifer C, SB, Lance S, Madeline B, Jazz O, Jeff C, Dave K, Justin C, Ramon F, Sarah S, and Sarah B, Prickly Peach, Lawrence B, Holly F, Christina D, Greg A, Sean B, Andrew R, Megan S, Ed B, Anna Super Slut, yeah. Gregory Y, Nicole M, The Single Man, Blake B, Scott G, Frank D, Jackie S, Doug R, Millie W, Michael P, Daniele G, Jeremy B, happy birthday, dude. Stuart A, Jessica K, Zilla T, Halfway There, Anthony G, Brian W, Danielle DP, Ashley C, Catherine B, Chris with a K, Ben W, Charles G, Todd B, Alex S, Chris W, Lauren M, Derek N, Johnny S, TQ, Dylan C, The Muscle Man, Sean N, Dervla, Raphael R, Dave P, Scott B, Almost There, Toby T, CJK, Mark G, Steve Dean from dateworking.com, my favorite Canadian, Emily S, Julian D, Ashley W, Rachel O, and Jeff Z. Thank you all so very, very much. Here's a fun fact. Did you know that the average pledge on Patreon is just $5.89 a month? Now multiply that by all of you lovely listeners, and fuck, man, you know, I could just live the dream of doing stand-up comedy and sex stuff full time. And you too can join dozens of listeners by becoming an official fan whore on Patreon. You can pledge as little as $1 per month, and you can alter your pledge at any time. To do so, go to manwhorepod.com and click the Patreon banner on the side. Or you can now download the nifty Patreon app, and you can find me on there. That's Patreon, Patreon. Let's get on back to me and Harrison Greenbaum.
I've definitely gone on dates. I try to do more coffee dates, which
Coffee
is good
dates?
because those are always short anyway. To a degree, like it's very hard. If you somehow end up on a 5-hour coffee date, then you know she's the one. But
Right.
like, yeah, there's definitely situations where like we did 45 minutes of coffee, and I was like, it was really nice to meet you, and like neither one of us texted each other again because it was clearly there was nothing there.
I just don't
But
think
it was very cordial and very like polite, and we met each other for 45 minutes, and it wasn't the right thing, and that's probably the best case scenario in that kind of situation.
I just don't think I do well unless it's a person who does like has an improv style of having a conversation themselves. Like if they're a funny person, then I can do that date wherever. But if they're not, if like humor is not their strong point, which is fine for me, I don't think I'm doing my best work at coffee. I feel like bar is like my environment where like the best dateable Billy, the most like, hey, I might want to fuck this guy is going to come out.
Well, it's also right
With or without the alcohol.
I think
on
it's
my
also
part,
a shift though in what I'm looking for, where it used to be let's meet up as close to my apartment and as late as night as possible
Right.
to increase the chances that this ends up in a hookup.
Yeah.
And now it's like I'm really looking more for a relationship. So
What an
coffee is
adult
better.
you are.
Trying to be an adult. That's literally once I turned 30, I was like, I should probably be an adult.
I mean, is like marriage and stuff something you want one day?
I think so. Yeah. I think kids even.
Kids? Okay.
Yeah. Not now.
In
Like-
this-
and not in this apartment. There's definitely no room for children. But
you have to understand, I think like from where I'm coming from in Bushwick, this is like a palace to me.
Oh, God, the
I'm
studio?
like, if you forced me to have to choose between kids and this, it's a 1-bedroom. No, yeah,
Yeah, that's a whole bedroom.
Yeah, it's not call. It's between the 1-bedroom and the kids. I'd be like, well, I feel like we could make both work. I think. Why do I?
We'll turn this into the nursery, just this living room.
I'll figure it out. Yeah.
My clown certificate.
I love this. All the Mad Magazine stuff.
I used to write for Mad Magazine.
You did?
I still I was their
shit.
intern, and I still freelance, and I visit the office whenever I can. Those guys are the best.
The office is here in New York.
They're right in New York, and the guy who's the editor in chief is this total sweetheart. He's been there. Most of the guys who work at Mad Magazine have been there forever, and it's like so cool that they have that tone, and they're still. I mean, I've met a lot of my heroes, and like I've seen what a fast, amazing comedy brain at work looks like, and those Mad guys, like, unbelievable, like comedy geniuses.
That was my first magazine subscription when I was like in grade school. I made my mom, or I like begged my mom to let me have a Mad Magazine subscription. So
It's so fun.
I had that for a while.
And then this is a Playboy that's a Braille blind Playboy, which I found on eBay. I was like, that's pretty hilarious. So that's completely blind. I mean, it's just Braille.
Right.
I thought there'd be something fun like a pullout with like a circle that you could, but I think it's just the articles.
And then, well, when you're married, I don't know, this may become like in your side room.
This is my side room stuff.
She'll be like, yeah, that was cute when you were a single bachelor, but you're a married man now. Get that fuck off the wall.
Right.
Or ideally, you marry a woman who loves Mad Magazine just as much.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's a People magazine my sister got me from 1984. So 2 years before I was born. And it's really fun because it's like David Letterman, like the hot new talent.
It's blowing my mind right now that you are as young as you are, not by looks at all. It's just, again, this like, you have mythologized views of people like you Mike Cannon, Sam, and a lot of people
Yeah,
like
although
that.
Cannon is like, I always look at comedy like different classes.
Right.
So like there are high school seniors, there are high school juniors, there's like college professors. Like I think Louis, like that would be the highest you could be is like a PhD college professor. And then you work your way down. So like I always think graduating high school is like getting a first major TV credit. So like there's kids who are like the cool kids in college who sometimes come back to visit their friends who are still in high school. So like for me, Mike, just in terms of how many years, I think Mike is one class below just in terms of starting out later than Sam and I.
Yeah.
And Sam and I are basically in the same class. And Mark Norman had moved to the city a couple years before. He's kind of in our class. He might be a year above us. So that's sort of, but I also used to hang out like with Mike Vecchione and Nate Bargatze, and they were like 2 or 3. I was
when
like,
I found out how old I interviewed Mike, I think like 2 or 3 years ago for Laugh Spin.
Kaplan.
No, Mike Vecchione.
Yeah.
And when he told me how old he was, I was like, Jesus Christ, because when I first met them, they were all like in their early 30s. Now these people are all pushing, like getting
they're
close
in their
to 40.
40s.
I'm
Yeah.
like, what?
And some of them are going to get into their 50s, and that's where it's like bizarre.
Yeah, it's so strange for me.
Yeah, or people who are in their 60s. I mean, Bill Maher is in his 60s.
I guess I don't think I think of the comedians as classes as much as like waves, like feminism, just like the waves of in which they came through.
I like the classes because it gives me like that extra. Some people get left behind. Some people skip a grade.
Well, in that regards, I feel like because I started when I was 19, I feel like the kid who like got pushed up to high school like when he was 10.
Yeah.
But then he realized he's not as smart as we thought, so like let's keep him back a couple of grades.
And then like Pete Davidson is like that Disney sitcom where there's like the little child who's in high school.
Yeah.
Because he just came out, but he's like boom and straight to the a billboard in Times Square. What was the name of that show? Shit, it was a Disney show about like a little kid, but he's in high school. He's like a genius.
Oh oh fuck yeah, with the Maury sisters.
Yeah.
It wasn't Little Genius.
No, but it was like that was.
That's gonna
damn
bug
it. That's gonna bug me too. But that's I think
in the outro, everyone. I'm gonna look this up. I'll tell you then.
But that's the Pete Davidson.
Yeah, wasn't that the spinoff of
or Dave
Sister
Chappelle
Sister?
too?
No, maybe.
I don't know.
Probably
I think
not.
you're just conflating
the
it's
very
one mega
few
show.
black sitcoms
Oh,
from the 90s, like
on Disney.
Yeah, the 3 that there were.
Hanging with Mr. Cooper.
Were you the type of guy who could like pick up women after a show? Were you that guy?
Well, my act never lended itself to that. I think I had one hotel hookup ever, and it was like barely. I don't know if you even.
What do you mean your act?
And it was somebody I had already known, so it wasn't even like a. I've never done the thing where I've come into town, headlined a comedy club, and somebody who I met that night comes back to my hotel room. That's never happened.
Okay,
which is probably a good thing.
But like that's I hear comics talk so much about picking up strangers from shows, and I feel like I have gotten laid in so many different ways for different reasons. Some of them including comedy, but never because of that. Like I've gotten laid because I was hanging at a comedy show, because I was seating at a comedy show, because because I said I'm a comedian, which really there's too
comedy
much.
has always helped me. I
Right.
think girls are naturally interested in like it's an interesting career.
Yeah, but like anyone can just say they're a comedian and then I think there's too much credit given to that. It's like you should like all make him be really, really funny.
Yeah.
Before you just see him with a microphone and a profile picture and be like, yeah, I'm gonna swipe upon that.
Well, I feel like also it's scary. If your first profile picture is you holding a microphone, I think a girl might swipe left just because she's like, I don't want to end up in this act.
How many women do you come across where they're like, I dated comedians and they were horror shows?
Oh my God, it's the worst. It really makes me sad I hate that. Every time you go on a date and you find out, oh, I actually hooked up or dated a comedian before you. And then I have to like prove to them that like, I'm not going to do what that other comic did.
But in a way, that's like how we have to be just as like men in general.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I mean, like, what's that?
I hate that when like, or you're on a date with somebody you actually do really like, and they're like, I'm just not in a place for a relationship because my last boyfriend was so awful, and you're like, damn, this guy
ruined it for everybody.
And like, then, and not that I'm opposed to working extra hard, but yeah, it's really frustrating, and I do genuinely like feel, it pains me when I hear those stories.
Yeah,
because I have a sister. Guys definitely need to be less douchey.
For sure about that, and like you're like a feminist dude. I mean
100%.
Yeah, and
I'm very lucky. My grandma was but both my grandmas were super feminists.
Really?
Before it was like, it was not that easy to be feminist when they were feminists.
Yeah,
I mean they were like coming to America. I mean grandmother came to America in like the 40s, 50s, living alone, trying to be independent. Like that's hard in the 40s and 50s in New York. And my other grandmother also always, very feminist. And like, it was not, nowadays, I think it's easier to be feminist. Not
Well,
that
yeah, because it's almost chic. It's vogue. It's the right thing to do. It's
not that it's easy to be a feminist, but easier than, same
also
thing like
more
civil
accessible,
rights.
yeah.
Civil rights was a lot harder to fight in the 60s than it is now.
there are
Not
less
that we-
hoses.
Less hoses, but it's still a fight that we need to fight.
Absolutely. And then the fucking this.
I just imagine the emails being like, it's still not hard. It's still not easy for us. And I'm like, I'm not saying
Yeah.
that. I'm not saying that. It does. I think it has gotten easier as we won battles.
It's weird because I feel like I got to be an apologist for being a guy. Like I just have to I always feel like I have to apologize, but at the same time I
I don't
want
think you
to.
have to apologize, but I do think you have to go out of your way to show that you're an ally.
Yeah, but like you want to do more than just wear a safety pin.
Yeah, I didn't get the safety pin thing. I was like, I don't. If you need to wear a safety pin for people to feel safe around you, then like you're probably not that safe. Like that. Oh, you look dangerous. Oh no, but he's a safety pin. I can hang out. Like, just be a person that people realize are safe. And
What do you do to demonstrate that when you're out?
I just think it's about who you are. It's about your person. Just making sure you put positive energy out and you act in accordance with your beliefs.
Well, there's something about like when you're like being a bachelor. I mean, obviously, like you're seeing somebody now, but like when you're in that bachelordom, there's something about there's like a stigma against if you're like successful at getting a lot of women, people just automatically assume you're a douchebag.
Yeah,
I mean, this show's called
The
Man
Man
Whore.
Whore thing.
Like,
yeah.
I feel like when I've pitched it to journalists to try to get like coverage, I have to be like, look, I promise it's kind of feminist. Like
Right.
it's
Well,
like,
that's the thing, right? So if a girl has sex with a lot of men, she's a slut, and there's like sort of the anti-slut shaming movement,
Right.
which is really important. And then there is this reverse of if a man has sex with a lot of women, even though people think it's cool to a degree, I think they're like, what an asshole.
yeah.
So for some reason, he's an asshole for doing that. And that's interesting too.
Yeah, but there's a way to do that ethically and not like a total jerk. But I think a lot of people don't
And there's
believe
a
it.
difference between sleeping with a lot of women and sleeping with women, like having one night stand hookups where you mistreat and you just kick them
Yeah.
out and then make room for the next one. That's an asshole,
Right.
Right there. If you're actually trying to find something, or you're being very upfront that you're not trying to find something, but that this is what you want to do, that's a much different thing than just like trying to build up a list of everybody you've hooked up with.
Yeah, rocking, man. The only other thing I have, which is the thing I don't know if you want to talk about. It's did you ever? Because
I see you circling it. I'll say
yeah.
it
The
for
only
you.
thing I had is I had the gay voice.
The gay
was-
voice
Yeah,
thing,
yeah.
So
So
people are listening. They're probably hearing it.
Right.
They're like, yeah, what's the story with
earlier
that?
on, I want to be like, we should clarify, like, he's a total heterosexual. It's I wanted to bring up in the realm of like masculinity, and when we were talking about body stuff, I think my original plan was like, oh well, and we'll transition to that and mandom, but and then we
No, I
got
think
into
that-
all
I
funny
think
stuff.
it's great.
Yeah, we're good on time. We
Oh
got,
yeah,
like,
yeah.
10
No,
minutes?
I just we're
Yeah, we're
absolutely
gonna do
great.
like in a. I think
No, we're absolutely great.
Yeah, okay.
No, I think when we were talking before about like how come you don't like getting laid on the road, I spend a lot of time talking about my sexuality and people thinking I'm gay. That's part of my
Yeah.
act. I have a new joke where I literally just say I'm not gay, but people think I am. Or when you're not gay, but people think you're gay, people will argue with you about you. And so at least now it's like that doesn't happen with my other preferences. Like I'm at a Subway, they're just like, "Hey, do you want cucumber?" And I'm like, "No." I'm like, "You want cucumber?" Like you look and sound like you love cucumber. So that bit, at least, I think it took me a long time to be able to write a bit that is funny and also tells the audience exactly where I'm at.
Right.
I think I used to play the line a little bit more. I was like, people think I'm gay. All right, good reaction. And I think there were people who would come up to me and be like, "Oh, so you're gay?" And I was like, "Oh no, even though I could get angry that they're misinterpreting it, it's really my fault for not writing a joke that's clear enough."
But like, I mean, I'm assuming you always had this voice, unless puberty went like in reverse for you or something. But
No,
like,
this is the lowest my voice has ever been.
So I mean, was that what did that cause any sort of like insecurity for you, like growing up?
100%.
I mean,
I think the key for me was just becoming very comfortable. And also I really think that it's about redefining what masculinity is.
yeah,
And it's not this like strong dude who like watches MMA and like beats everybody up. And like, we need to stop all this focus on like muscles and being a protector. And it's just about being a good person. And this idea that some like blue is for boys and pink is for girls. Like, let's break that. Let's just get rid of that. Basically entirely.
coming
And the
from a
idea
couple
too,
guys wearing jeans and no pink at all.
yeah.
Sorry.
Well, no, I used to wear, I mean, I used to wear exclusively pink and purple, exclusively, and now I've changed it up a little bit. But I almost wore. I mean, there was gigs I would come to on the road a year later, and they'd be like, "Hey, where's your pink shirt?" Because like I was wearing a blue shirt that night, and they're like, "Wait, that's not the Harrison we've come
Where
to
were
expect."
you in like Tulsa? They'd be like, "That's the one guy we've ever met who's
wears
worn a
pink.
pink shirt."
But I do think it's like this idea of, and then there's also this weird conflation between what, like, where you are on the gender spectrum,
Yeah.
and where you are on the sexuality spectrum, and the idea that they're connected to each other. I think we're finally, only very, very, very recently, in the last year or two, people are realizing that they're separate spectrums. So that there could be a gay guy who's super quote unquote masculine,
Yeah.
and there be somebody who's super feminine who's very hetero, and like there's no necessary correlation between the two. And I think that's really great, is breaking down that connection.
Or you look at someone like a Buck Angel, who is, I don't know if you know who that is.
Yeah,
but
who has female genitalia.
Right. And
Yeah.
it's like the fucking muscle up people, all these tattoos.
How does he identify?
It's a man.
Okay,
He's
cool.
a man. He identifies as bisexual, or I forget if he says pan or what, but I mean,
Right.
he likes various genitals, and he's a man, and he'll be like, yeah, so North Carolina, where the fuck do you want me to pee?
Right.
It's like,
Right, exactly. He's the perfect example of like...
exactly.
But it's interesting too, because I think the Trump victory is like, as much as I believe so strongly in this kind of thing of breaking down these gender norms, these sexuality norms, in many ways it feels like maybe we went too fast, and the rest of our country was like, what the hell is going on in New York? We need
In
to
New
stop
York.
this right now. Like, what's happening in California and New York, because they're controlling our TV. We're seeing all this crazy shit on TV. What the hell is going on? Like, I think there is this reaction of like, there's parts of our country still where they're like, no, this is what men do, this is what women do. And we have a long way to go to convince those people of our side, which
Yeah.
I think is an admirable goal.
I mean, and masculinity, it's just, when people talk about like the muscle up dude is supposed to be the one who's banging all the chicks, right?
Right.
It's like, I know a lot of douchebags who are like that. I have way more sex than like any of them. And I like to think I'm like a half decent individual on most days, at least when
You
it
don't
comes
have
to
to
women.
be a douchebag to
Yeah.
have sex with a lot of women. And and also I mean, it's the hackiest like 80s joke ever, but it's like, women, if you want men who want more men to treat you the way you deserve, have sex with those men.
Yes.
Stop giving away sex to the men who are mistreating you. Like, if somebody's a douche you on a date, don't have sex with that guy.
Yeah.
And that guy will stop being a douche eventually.
I don't care if he has the little V cut
Yeah.
at the bottom of his abs. You got to say no.
Yeah, if you keep having sex with the guys who are douchey with you on dates, you will continue going on dates with douchebags, because it's a reward for them. Yeah. You're giving them the reward.
There's no reason to change their behavior.
It's not your fault that they act like douchebags, but we all need to pitch in and do our part.
And you throw some of this message in your stand-up, right? If I remember correctly.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And so do you feel like you're being like nice and subversive when you go in the middle of the country doing your act?
I'm I mean, I think it's interesting, like they don't buy it for a second. They completely go, well, if you're feminine, then you're definitely gay. Like,
Right.
there's no option in their mind for something else.
Dude, I get
So you
that.
have to fight that.
Just because I've seen dicks in person, they automatically assume that too. They're like, you're fine being that close to dudes blowing each other? Well, you're obviously a queer. I'm like,
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of work to
Yeah.
do in terms of teaching people what these things are. But yeah, I mean, I always write my jokes. I want them to be universally funny. Like, I was like, I want to write a Trump joke that the Trump supporters will laugh at and the Hillary supporters will laugh at. I think I've done it because I've been doing it now for the last couple of weeks, and like, there's definitely rooms where they're clearly pro-Trump rooms. Like, some of these like Times Square comedy clubs have a lot of tourists, and those tourists are many times Trump supporters. So I've done these rooms where it's like almost exclusively Trump supporters, and they're laughing at it, and I'm like, okay, that's the key, because I think humor is supposed to bring us together, and like, if you get up there and be like, Trump is the worst, and everybody who voted for him is the worst, that's never going to fix that stuff. We need to bring people to our side, and you don't do that by telling them that they're monsters that can't be fixed.
Agreed. I was just with the podcast I did before this was with a cartoonist. She does like a lot of like poly cartoon stuff, and I was talking about what the role of art is going to be in
Poly,
the next
like
4
political
years.
or polyamorous?
Polyamory, yeah,
Oh,
and, like,
okay.
and queer stuff and whatnot, and what the role of art is going to be is going to be part comfort tool and part educational. If
Right.
anything, I think.
And it's like, I was watching Modern Family recently, and I was like, that show is, I think, the biggest hit show, like, in terms of sitcoms. And one of the families is an immigrant who constantly talks about being from Colombia and being an immigrant. There's a gay couple who are raising an adopted daughter. And like, that's the kind of cultural thing where I think obviously it didn't work enough that people who are like, I love Modern Family should not have voted for Trump. Like if you like any of the characters on Modern Family, a Trump presidency is not going to be favorable to these families. But I think that's the kind of cultural stuff that we need to be putting out too, where we're just like, look how normal and great this is. And yeah, there's a lot to do.
A lot of work. I remember tweeting out the night of or the next morning was after the election was, SNL, Samantha Bee and John Oliver have like the most important fucking work to do this week, and
that's the fascinating thing is like if you're working, Jon Stewart famously said when we were talking about Bush is he'd rather have a harder time doing the Daily Show and a better time being,
better president.
And I fully am committed to that. I'd rather have just a better president and make my job hard.
Yeah.
Make it the best country in the world. Make my job so hard that there's nothing to complain about.
Although Hillary, kind of low hanging fruit still. I feel like
absolutely
either one would have been fine.
But I'm like, make my job as hard as possible. But being said, now that we have this Trump presidency, there's a lot to do. And I think the key is not going for the easy laughs. Like it's very easy as a liberal New Yorker performing for liberal New York audiences to get caught in that bubble and be like, man, these jokes are killing. But like, if an audience hates Trump and you say a joke that's negative towards Trump, it doesn't even have to be that good and it's still going to get a laugh. Right. So it's about knowing what your audience is and trying to come up with the real jokes that really change minds and really make valid points that are worth the time. Just doing a Trump impression or just saying he's bad might get a reaction, especially now that people really want that venting.
Yeah.
And it's going to behoove us as comedians to like not go for that easy laugh and try to find the harder laughs that are there.
Well,
somebody
said,
like
man.
John Oliver and those guys are absolutely going to do it.
Oh, absolutely. And Samantha Bee, holy shit, is she crushing
amazing.
It. I have a video from interviewing her on a red carpet like years ago. I think when when Letterman announced he was going to go down, and so I was like, who should get 11:30? And I'm talking to her and Jason Jones, and they were both doing a very fun, like, oh man, I'd love to see a woman in that position, but if only we knew like a funny woman, and
right?
Just, and she's just crushing it with Full Frontal. So it's great stuff. And you were phenomenal again today, dude. Thanks for making time to talk to me.
Thanks for having me.
Where can people find you and your podcast and your work? You tour around and
so the main thing is harrisongreenbaum.com. That's my website. You can basically get to anything from there. My Twitter is Harrison Comedy. Please follow me. I tweet all the time and tweet out all my dates and that kind of thing. My podcast is Best Friend Plans, so it's three nerdy dudes talking about the nerdy things that we do together. So anything from board games to escape rooms to haunted houses. So we describe the weirdest experiences. We try to go on these weird experiences and tell you about them. So that's really fun. That's bestfriendplans.com. And then in terms of dates that I have upcoming,
this will be out not this Wednesday, but next Wednesday. So end of the month.
Next Wednesday. Okay, great. So December 9th and 10th, I'm at Big Hunt in Washington, D.C. I'm headlining there. December 27th, I am doing 54 Below, Feinstein's 54 Below. It's the first ever time they're having a magic show, as far as I know. So we really want people to turn out. It's my adult magic show. It's uncensored, 70 minutes plus of magic and stand-up. And there's also a website, iwantanetflixspecial.com, which contains all the information about that show in particular, which is my magic and comedy show. It's my baby. I've been working on it for years and years and years. And I just did the Kennedy Center with that show, which was crazy. So it's the same show that I did at the Kennedy Center. I'm doing at
you still do the
54
the
Below.
babies stuff.
The baby is the closer. Yeah.
Okay.
There's a couple of tweaks to it, but yeah, that's. The
I've
closer.
oddly, for as long as you know, I've barely seen any of your magic stuff. I've mostly only seen your stand up stuff. But the baby is like one of the only magic tricks I think I've seen. I was like, wow.
Oh, thanks.
Wonderful.
That sort of formed the base of the show. I was like, can I come up with 5 or 6 tricks minimum that I feel as good about as I do about the baby in terms of it being funny and original, and like magic is a whole other world in terms of the rules of comedy. I think are a lot stricter about how you create stuff. So I've been trying to move those rules into magic, where like every joke that I say, every trick that I do is me and original and fits my voice and point of view.
Rockin', man.
Yeah.
Well, everyone, you'll see all those links and that information in the show notes. But for now, Harrison wants to say goodbye to everybody.
Goodbye. Thanks so much for listening, guys.
To all of you shouting out at your podcast apps, the name of that Disney show, it was Smart Guy. Smart Guy starring Taj Mowry. Yeah. So that was going to drive me a little bit bonkers, but I'm glad we could figure it out. I hope you enjoyed my episode with Harrison. Go check him out and support him online. Go check out his comedy shows. Follow him on the interwebs. His website is harrisongreenbaum.com. You can follow him on Twitter at Harrison Comedy. You can also follow Hannah Abney on Instagram at HannahA650. Of course, you can follow me on Twitter at TheBillyPresida. Use the hashtag ManWhorePodcast. Let me, Harrison, Abney, let us all know what you thought about the show. You can also like the Man Whore Podcast on Facebook. It's the Man Whore Podcast, not Billy Presida. Those are different pages. Please go like the podcast page, not my personal profile. And if you are a big Redditor, join the conversation with your fellow fan whores on the Man Whore Podcast subreddit. There are individual comment threads for every episode. I also like to post various pictures and announcements, ask questions. I love to interact with you there. That's r/manwhorepodcast. Once more, if you are in the greater New York City area and today is still Wednesday, November 30th, come join me down in the Lower East Side or Greenwich Village. Celebrate my being newly unemployed. Have a drink with me. Go to the Man Whore Podcast fan page on Facebook or go to manwhorepod.com and you'll see where the location is that I'm at. I hope you have a fun week. Stay safe. Stay sane. Stay getting back on that diet post-Thanksgiving. Holy shit. And stay slutty.